Thank you, everyone, for being here. And just a very quick word is I want to show, first of all, my appreciation to all of you journalists, because I know that you did a lot of coverage. As a fellow journalist, you must understand it's very strange for me to be on this side of the camera, but I thank you very much. Yesterday, I left home to go to a hair salon and spa just to have my hair done, which unfortunately won't be able to see much after the tussle. But once I reached there, I was finishing up when I saw a lady that I noted came in very quickly, was wearing a mask and went out. But I didn't think much of it. One of the things that I did, and usually I do, is I keep in touch with my husband to keep him up to date where I am. So I updated him that I'm about to leave. And I called through the little app, I called a ride. The person arrived but was not able to get inside, and the place was called Chaka Place. So I rushed to the gate to get in, and the driver was trying now to move out of the gateway into the main road of Agwing's Kodek when a black van stopped in front of us, and suddenly, like out of the movie, I saw two individuals coming to both sides of the door, and then they were yelling at the driver. I started yelling with the driver. I was telling him, don't open the door, don't open the door. They cannot take me. I was screaming. After that, they managed to open the door and they started dragging me. So one of the things I did is I was really fighting them not to be taken and put into the car. They dragged me. I do recall that I did a lot of kicking because they were trying to pin me down. They managed to lift me into the car, but they were having a problem shutting the car because I was kicking. But I was screaming, I was asking for help. I remember the driver was looking toward what was happening. That his face was the last thing I think that I saw before it shut. Then they tried to cover my face. They were using some form of cloth, and what they were doing is they were putting the cloth on my nose and my mouth, and they were saying that you will not be able to breathe, so you have to shut up. But I was still fighting, and we were moving very fast. Suddenly there was a thud. So while they were trying to cover my head, I saw what now I know is a city hopper. So I just saw a bus, and then I heard shouts, and they were shouting to each other in the car. Then there was in Swahili one said bunduki. So I immediately knew that they have a weapon with them. There was a thud, so I think there was a crash between the city hopper and the vehicle, but because of that I could see, they couldn't cover my face. And that's when I realized I was also in handcuffs. They tightened a lot the handcuffs, they covered my head, and they were looking for the phone. So one of the things I did is I laid on the phone so they couldn't access it. So they were trying now to search all my bags, and they were shouting with me. One kept choking me, asking me, where's my phone, where's your phone? And I was just saying, why are you doing this with me? So there was all that communication, but I was not giving them anything. After a while, because they were also tossing me, they sat on my leg because I was kicking. I wanted to kick out the window, so I was kicking them. I kicked one of them on the other side, and that's when I realized he was the one who had the handcuffs. He tightened a lot the handcuffs. It was really hurting me. And they finally found the phone. When they found the phone, they were very happy. Like they were like eager, and they were telling me to give them the PIN. And they were speeding, and they kept insisting, give us the PIN. So I just gave them numbers, random numbers. And I couldn't even think straight. So I was just giving them numbers. The one who was in the passenger seat was the one who was handling and was really wanted to get into my phone. And he kept saying, it's a wrong PIN. Get her to give me the PIN. So every time they wouldn't be able to get the PIN, they would try to choke me and pull on my handcuffs until I felt my hands were going numb. So I told them, I said, you're torturing me. I can't remember the numbers. You need to loosen and you need to let me relax so I can remember my PIN. And they were like, you're just buying time. Why are you not telling us? Then I asked them, where are you taking me? So they told me that they are police and they're taking me to the police station. I told them, it's not possible you're police because you abducted me. And the guy on the left who was holding the handcuffs got very angry and pulled and said, we didn't abduct you, we didn't abduct you. So I said, okay, if you're the police, then take me to the police station and I will relax. I'll also give you the PIN. And I started basically trying to negotiate. And then they started shouting with me, shut up, shut up. So I said, I was saying, you're confusing me, you're confusing. So I was very distraught. So I said, you're asking me questions and then, you're telling me to shut up. Afterwards, we were going at a very high speed. And I kept asking time and time again, when are we getting to the station? Which station are you taking me? So one said the main station, and I said, where? So after a while, so I didn't get, to be honest, my sense of time I was starting to lose it. After a while, I said, you're not taking me to the station, are you? They said, no, relax, we're taking you to the station. Then again, I tried because I felt like there is traffic. I tried to see if I can get out. Again, they tightened my handcuffs again, and they were making me lie down to my right. The guy who was holding me like that, the guy on the other side was holding the handcuff, was pulling my handcuff and sat on my legs. So I was begging them, don't sit on my leg because now you're hurting me and my back. So it was becoming, as we were going, they were becoming more and more rough. So after a while I decided to keep a bit quiet, and I started feeling that we are going on a highway. The reason I say I know it was a highway, the bumps, there are those small bumps, and then afterwards there's a larger bump. So I said, this is a highway, this is some place that is not within the city. So I was telling them, where are you taking me? One of them, the one in front who had my phone, was calling my name, saying Maria, and I didn't react. And he tried to speak to me in Swahili. I was not speaking Swahili. So I kept asking them, why did you take me? Then they said, can you confirm your name? But I didn't give them my name. So I said, but if you abducted me, you need to know who I am. Why did you abduct me if you don't know my name? And that's when the guy was again tightening and saying, now, give me your name. And I said, but you're torturing me for nothing. You took me. You need to know who I am. So we went and they stopped. After a while, I asked if I'm already at the police station. They told me to keep quiet. Then they again put me down. They tried to get my head down. And in front, they got out of the car. It looked like they were either on the phone or consulting. I could hear sounds from far. We stood for a while. Then again, we continued with the journey. And I kept saying, are you taking me to the station? So the stops happened about, to my calculation, about 5 times. But I was getting confused with the time as it was going. About 5 times, they stopped, and one was getting out. Toward the end, both the driver and the front passenger got out. They then also again told me to keep my head down, to keep quiet. Then the person from one side, and I don't know who it was, came to talk to the person who was holding me, whispered. I couldn't hear what they were whispering, and he covered my head with a jacket. So they were discussing something, and after that, I remember that we were going more, and eventually, what they were saying was that they're going to release me, but I must not look back. I cannot look at the car once they remove it, and I have to wait until I hear the car disappear. I didn't know what time it was. When I stepped out of the vehicle, I had to wait until at the door until they took it off. It was very tight. They took it off, and I didn't turn. I was very scared. What was for me very evident was they gave me the bag, the huge bag that I had, which had my salon things like my hair stuff and whatever. And I was very scared. I was clutching it. But in the struggle, I also managed to get my small wallet, which had my ID. And I was so keen to keep my ID. So they couldn't find it, but when they gave it to me later after they had left, I realized they'd taken my phones. And when I started off, the only thing I knew was I have to walk toward, because it was a very dark place, it was already dusk, and it was a rough road. So I walked until I got to what looked like a main road, and I judged from the vehicles that the vehicles were coming from that side. So I decided that's probably where a lot of people are. So I started walking. So I walked for a while. It was getting very dark. There was no pavement. It was just beaten path. When I reached to a certain point, I saw some vehicles. I ran up. I asked one of them if it's an Uber. They said that they have a passenger. I walked furthermore, and then I just saw 2 cars parked. And then I got into that vehicle, one of them, and I gave them where I live, basically in the Kilimani. So I asked him to take me, and then I went. One of the things that I was very scared of when they dropped me is that I felt that they were watching me. So I couldn't prove it, but I felt like they let me go, but they were watching what I would do, because one of the things they said is, do not talk to anyone, but go home. And what for me was good was in that small wallet that I had Kenya shillings. It was 2,050 Kenya shillings that I had. So when I got into the Uber, I didn't have a phone. I just asked the Uber driver, how much should I give you? He said, give me 1,000. So I didn't have anything to say. I just gave him the 1,000. I got there. By then, nobody was at home. So I didn't have my phones. I managed to open my laptop. And on my laptop, I was able to make a phone call, first to my husband and then to some of the other people that I tried to reach. And then that is when Amnesty and everybody else came. And of course, then they started the arrangement for everything. I have not been able to access social media, in the sense that the first thing I did was to remove all my devices that were logged into Twitter and to some of the platforms. I am sure that part of the abduction was to get access to my devices and to get access to the activities that I do online, which include, of course, sometimes doing whistleblowing, but also doing a lot around abductions in Tanzania. So that is the first thing that I really felt that they really wanted. The other thing that I really felt was that, and I even actually commented to them, although they didn't answer, is they were taking me outside Nairobi, but they were taking me across the border. And I told them, and they asked me, why are you scared to go across the border? And they say, so you know you've done something wrong. I said, I have not done anything wrong. Then they asked me, then why are you scared to go? Why do you think that you will have trouble? I told them, it's because I'm a loudmouth. That's what I told them. So they were evading questions, but my conviction is that at least one person was constantly speaking to me in Swahili. So for me, that was one indication. The other indication was my devices was of very keen interest for that one individual to gain access to. So my conclusion at the end of the day is that this incident is straightforward an incident that is targeting what I do for Tanzania. And definitely I feel that this could not have been the way it turned out without public pressure. One of the indications that I got was I was asked whether I have a husband. So I immediately knew that there was something that relating to my husband that they suddenly are interested. The other question that I got was, what do I do exactly? But every time I wouldn't answer, I would tell them that when you abducted me, what information did you have about me? And they really didn't like the word abduct. So they kept telling me, we did not abduct you. And I said, what you're doing is abduction. I didn't get to see their faces. There's one of them, I know that when they were taking me, I looked into his face, but he was wearing a mask and a cap. I saw in his eyes. The others I didn't see. But I think my sense tells me that they were younger, based on the voice and the way they're young, the ones behind, and the ones in front, unfortunately, I've not been able to interact with.